this is really interesting, and I'm just going to go back to the Korean culture thing. So like, why did I become so interested in Korean culture, or what was it that attracted me to becoming, like, why do I love Korea so much? So for me, obviously, like, third culture kid was a term I never heard growing up, but only like sort of I think in my early 20s that I understood what the third culture kid was. And I'm like, oh, that's me. Like, I wish, we never had technology back then. So like third culture kid, like you don't always choose, well, you never choose, right? So when your parents grow up in a particular culture, they then take you away from that culture. They then put you in a different culture that you're not, obviously they're not familiar with, but then you become familiar with when you're younger. You don't, like, I never had a choice to come to the UK.
Right.
Like choosing was like my dad putting us in boarding school, taking us out, okay, like now you stay here. And apparently he told me he had the choice to go to the States, but my mom and him decided that the UK would be better for us. And it was that same thing of like growing up here, not really quite feeling British, going back to India for holidays, not really quite feeling Indian, and then feeling like that in between, and then being able to relate to everyone else. And then I wondered the reason why I've chosen like Korean, like because it's my choice. Whereas like over these situations, I didn't choose to be Indian because I was born Indian. That's like not a choice you get.
Right.
And then I did choose to like live here because again, that was my parents' choice. And then I think the reason why I was so drawn to Korean culture was because it was my choice, and it felt very familiar, maybe very close to Indian culture, because there's a lot of emphasis on the family. There's a lot of emphasis on the food. And this like there's that queen, ancient queen. I don't know, I think it's Suho. I should Google her name before. But when I went to Busan, there was I've forgotten the name now, but I have to like quickly look it up. But there was fated to be like 2,000 years ago, Indian queen, like came to Korea, married a Korean king, and so this is a myth. They say, like, from the ancient city of Ayodhya, which is a city in India. And so this is a myth, but they do say like two things exist. Like there was a stone that arrived in Korea that no one knows how they got there, but the origins of the stone is from India. And there is like a fish pattern which so like I don't know where it came from, but again, the fish pattern came from India and it wasn't like Korean.
Yeah. So
this was, even though this is a myth, this is sort of like something that happened. I thought, oh wow, this is amazing. This is very interesting. Maybe I could have been the reincarnation of the queen. I don't know. I was just thinking all sorts of things of why I was interested in Korea, but that's quite interesting.